Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Annie Bennett's Wednesday Waffle. Here's me. I'm Annie Bennett and I run the Home Baking Business Community UK. Or you might be watching me on my Facebook page, Annie Bennett Business. Or you might be coming here from my membership, my lovely membership, the Home Baking Professionals Society. So wherever you are watching from, do let me know you're here. If you're watching on replay, do let me know that you're on replay because I do like to know who's watching because I'm very nosy, as some of you know. And if you are here live, do say hello. I'm coming to you via StreamYard. Hang on, I'll just turn that off. That'll drive us up the wall. I'm coming to you via StreamYard, which means that you are very welcome to comment. But unless you give it permission, it won't tell me who you are. So it won't give me your name. But that's fine. You can just put it in the comments if you wish to. And if you can do sort of lots of thumbs up and hearts and things, then Facebook notifies other people that I'm here, and other people that, like me, will sit on the evening and go and forget about it. I go, oh, yes, I'd forgotten I was going to watch that. And I'll suddenly then find my phone and watch. So we do have people here. Hello, people. Hello, people. Do let me know who is here. Do say hello. I am going to be talking this evening about something that a couple of people have asked about in the group, in the Home Baking Business Community UK, which is to do with, income, and at what point can you leave a job that you have and do your baking full time, because that is the leap, isn't it? That's the real leap of faith that you have to have, and all sorts of things can depend on that. So I will tell you this evening a little bit about what I did and how I did it, and about how my income comes in now, which I think will be quite interesting for some of you. You might be able to sort of get some ideas or some reassurance that actually perhaps you might be able to do it as well. There will be a blog. Oh, hi, Lucy. Hello, my lovely. There's a blog that goes with this, which will be, the link will be posted in the group at about 8 o'clock. So I've got the blog in front of me, so I'll have to put my glasses on. In fact, I need to clean them because they're filthy. So I will sort of take my notes from my blog, because my short-term memory is awful these days. Do you know? There used to be a time when I could sing whole operas and remember the whole lot. But I'm not sure I could do that now. No, of course I can. I can do that now. But short-term memory, no, hopeless. No, can't remember a thing. Anyway, all right. So, yes, do tell me that you're here. Do say hello if you're here. It would be lovely to know if you're here and that I'm talking to you. So, yeah, forgive the glare in the glasses. I always want to hold my head at a certain angle so you don't get the glare, but it's not always possible, is it? Right. So, yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about my background for those that don't know. I was a primary school teacher. Oh, hello, little wave. I was a primary school teacher for, well, over 30 years by the time I left. And at one point I was a head teacher as well. So yeah, it was quite intense in the whole teaching thing. And then very, very long story, which I won't go into this evening because we haven't got time. We'll be here till Saturday. I left head teaching in 2013, 14, something like that. And it was at that point that I decided to set up my bakery, my wedding cake bakery. And I decided right from the beginning it was going to be called Leading Lady Cakes, and it still is, which is the opera link, if you don't know that, I sing opera. So there's sort of an obvious name link there. So I set up Leading Lady Cakes. But at that point, of course, because it was a very, very new business, I had to do sort of part-time teaching and supply teaching alongside. So I had to do the both for quite a while. And in fact, at one point, I was teaching all day, every day. And then from about the sort of Tuesday, Wednesday evening, I was preparing and baking for a market on a Saturday and quite often on the Sunday as well. So my week was really, really full on, really full on. I was sort of using every hour that I had, really. And even in the holidays where there was no teaching, I was having to look up, different markets that ran during the week so that I could have the income coming in. And of course, there were, birthday cakes. Right at the beginning, there weren't really wedding cakes. The wedding cakes didn't really kick in for a few years. But there was the odd, birthday cake and things as well. So for quite a long time, I was working very long hours without really a break. I couldn't take a holiday. I couldn't have a break from it because there'd be no income coming in. And it sort of got to the point where, I was loving what I was doing. I was absolutely loving it. Going to markets is hard work, but it was such good fun. I was surrounded by some lovely, the other traders were just fabulous, and we'd had a laugh all day, and it was great. But even then I was thinking, oh gosh, I'm not sure I can sustain this, for years and years, because whenever I stop baking, I haven't got any income coming in. There's no money for holidays, let alone actually the time for holidays. So I was in a bit of a dilemma. I'm wondering what to do about it. And then, of course, come 2020, which is 2 years ago now, isn't it? It was at the end of March, wasn't it? So it's almost nearly 2 years ago. And by that point, I'd had quite a few wedding bookings in for that year. So I was thinking, great, I can sort of ease up on the markets and, do a few more weddings and, things would be great. But of course, come that announcement at the end of March of 2020, all of my wedding income disappeared because all the weddings were cancelled. So yes, I'd had some deposits, but some people were asking for them back. And of course, there were going to be no balance payments. So in my finances for the year, I'd had various points where I knew I'd get the balance for this cake and the balance for that cake and so on. That all, of course, went. So, gosh, what do I do? As were lots of people at that point, of course. I was in the same boat as quite a lot of people. But because I'd made the decision when I started I started getting into weddings and wedding cakes quite a lot. I made the decision that I needed to network. So I was in a couple of Facebook groups to do with the wedding industry. And in fact, it was one of those groups that as soon as lockdown hit, they were on the ball. They put together a day's like Zoom conferences. And this is the point where everyone was learning how to use Zoom because no one knew about it and no one knew how to use it. But they put together a day of different speakers. I think there were 6 different speakers came in. And there was sort of questions and answers. There was a legal person in there. There were all sorts of people in there, just giving people who are in the wedding industry some advice about, what to do about giving deposits back, all those kind of things, and how to survive, really, because for a lot of people it was a survival thing. I at that point, and had been for quite a few years, was a single parent. My income was the only income that was coming in. Luckily, I had secured a part-time teaching job, which was online. So someone had a teacher that had left and they wanted someone to come in. And so luckily I had that as a bit of income coming in. But other than that, things were looking a bit dodgy. So I went to this, I took part in this day's conference, and I learnt about, because I had no idea about this, I learnt about the fact that a lot of businesses, or successful businesses, don't just have one, one place where their money comes from, one income stream. The successful businesses have money coming in from there, have money coming in from there. They do this, which brings in money. They do that, which brings in money. And all this was a complete revelation to me. You know, I thought, oh my goodness, you know, here's me relying on making wedding cakes, where actually I could be doing all sorts of other things as well and bringing in other money. It was just a complete revelation. It was one of those things, you know, that you don't know that you don't know. And suddenly you realize something and you think, how did I not know this? You know, it was like light bulbs going off, you know. So of course, I was starting to think about the fact that actually, you know, if I did go off ill, yes, I wouldn't be able to bake, but I could set up other ways of money coming in that would still come in even if I was ill, that would still come in even when I was on holiday, that would still come in, you know, when my oven broke and I couldn't bake, for example. And yeah, it was a complete revelation. And the speaker who was talking about this, you know, income streams and passive income, which I'll talk about a bit in a minute, she was saying, well, even if, you know, out of lockdown, you know, if things were normal, she said, look at what you do now and think about what it means for you to be fully booked. Okay. So if you're fully booked, how many hours are you working? Are you able to work, you know, realistically and sustain that over months, you know? You know, because there's always weeks where you know, you're up till 3 in the morning and you think, oh, it's only this week, I'll just power on through it. But no one really can sustain that for months and months. And she said, you know, look at that, look at a week where you would be fully booked and look at how much money that would bring in. That is your limit. You will never bring in any more than that. And I sat down and did that. And it was a bit eye-opening because I thought, oh, actually, that perhaps doesn't give me the income that I hoped I would have, you know, because I realistically looked at a wedding cake, you know, the wedding industry timetable. You know, you're more or less full from May to September if you're lucky. Definitely June, July, and August. The rest of the year, you might be lucky to get a couple, you know, in each month. January, February, December, you get December weddings, but October and November, you're not going to get many in there, you know. So, you know, I realistically looked at the year and, you know, looked at what I would be able to do. And actually the income that I worked out, I thought, oh, actually, perhaps I do need to think about other sources of income as well. You know, plus the fact that, you know, when I was doing the markets, you know, and the supply teaching and all that kind of stuff, when I was doing it all at once, say I was up until sort of 1, 2, 3 in the morning sometimes, and then having to do a full day at the market the next day. And even though, as I said, I loved it, there was that element of, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this for years till I, you know, until I retire. Because it, you know, my mental health, you know, I'd not have a break, and it would, you know, realistically, that wasn't going to be an option. So, so this person that was leading this session, she was talking about, you know, things that you know about, things that you're expert in. Not even expert things that you know your friends might ask you about, or you know, that you know a little bit more than other people about, which for most of us in this group is baking. You know, when she was talking, my initial thought was, well, it's baking. You know, I know how to bake, and I know how to set up a baking business. That's the other thing I know how to do. So she was talking about, you know, being able to bring in an income from that, from any knowledge that you have. And there were other people on this call, on this Zoom call. There were all sorts of people. There were, you know, people who were dog trainers. There were people who were circus entertainers. there were people who, you know, specifically wedding things as well, you know, florists and dressmakers. But yeah, there were non-wedding people at this particular one as well, because it had gone wider. And there were all sorts of things, you know, driving instructors, all sorts of things. And what she was saying was, well, there's a way that you can set up income streams so that you can have money coming in, you know, when you're on holiday, give yourself a break. You know, if you're ill or something happens, you know, your oven breaks or whatever. But, you know, to be on top of if you're fully booked, you can then make extra income on top of that. And all this was a bit mind-blowing. It was a bit overwhelming at the time, because I thought, you know, I'd never realized this. This is madness, you know. And it was one of those, you know, the doors open and the sun shined in and the birds were singing, and it was like, this is incredible. You know, the possibilities here are just phenomenal. So as a result of that, in fact, the lady who was doing the talk, her name's Lisa Johnson, and she's a very, very successful business person, but she's also just full of integrity as well. I could never work with anyone that I thought was a bit shady or a bit dodgy or did things sort of underhanded. And I've really warmed to Lisa at that point, and I have since. I'm now in her membership and all sorts of things, and I've learned so much from her, because she doesn't have, you know, the sleazy sales techniques. I mean, I talk to people about the challenge that I did and about what she does, and they say, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. I say, no, it's not. It's nothing like that at all. She teaches people how to use what they know and sort of monetize it and be able to get money in from it. So the things that I have set up since that, so in about 2 years ago, things I've done since then, I set up the Home Baking Business Community UK group. Yeah, without Lisa and without that initial, you know, day and her challenge that she put on, this group wouldn't exist, because it was because of her that I saw the, you know, how I could do this, and I saw a need for it and all that kind of stuff. So I set up the Facebook group. And initially it wasn't necessarily a money-making thing at all. It was actually, I've got lots of knowledge here and I'd love to share it with people, and I do in the group. You know, I do lots of, you know, I do this every Wednesday evening, and I, you know, give out free things and give people the benefit of my wisdom and all that kind of stuff. But on sort of on top of that, I've got various other income streams as well. So let me scroll down on my blog and I can make sure I talk about them all. So yeah, so the one of the things that I have, as some of you know, because some of you bought them, are my books. So I learned about self-publishing on Amazon, which actually is, once you know how to do it, is really very easy, and actually doesn't cost anything. To upload a book onto the Amazon self-publishing doesn't cost a bean. So there's no upfront cost at all, which pleased me greatly when I first learned about it. So I wrote my handbook, and lots of people have bought that, which is fabulous. And then of course I've put loads of other books up there as well, once I'd got the bug for doing it. And then the other one, which I know a lot of you have, is my food hygiene record book. Lots of people have bought that. And lots of EHOs have thought, oh, that's rather good, which is fabulous for me. And of course, once you have written the book, you know, there is effort involved, there is hard work involved. I mean, the handbook, some of it I wrote from blog posts that I'd written, but it took me a couple of weeks moderately intensive writing during lockdown to get this written. But of course now, whenever someone buys one of them, that's money coming in that I have, you know, I don't have to do anything for at all, completely passive. And you might have heard the phrase, you know, earn money while you sleep. Well, I do, because I wake up in the morning and I look at my little money total, and it will have gone up because some people the night before have bought the books. And so Amazon said, okay, we're going to give you this much at the end of the month. And that actually brings in now, because I've got quite a few books on there, around about £500 a month, which in itself isn't enough. But the fact that I don't have to actually do anything now, it's just their money coming in. Occasionally I'll put up a post in the group or on my social media reminding people that the books are there. But, that's it. And, when I go on holiday, that money still comes in. If I'm poorly, that money still comes in. So that's one. The other, or the next income stream that I have is my training courses. Now, I know a lot of you have actually bought these and gone through these. So I've got my my big one, which is my wedding cake business course that lots of people have bought and gone through. And then there's my other ones, which, so some of them are live. So some of them I come on and I do love, like my kitchen inspections course. Lots of people come on, and every couple of months I'll go and I'll do a live session. But a lot of the other courses that I've got up there, I've pre-recorded and they're ready to go. So they're ready for people to buy. So again, apart from the ones that have got the live element, the other ones, their income coming in without me having to do much. And depending on what I've got at the moment, at that particular time, that can be another few £100 a month for that, which is all very useful, of course. And then, of course, there's the Home Baking Professional Society. Hello to all you people that are in there. It's my paid membership. So people join and they pay a fee every month. And there's lots of training in there. So you can find all sorts of things in there where you can learn about different aspects of business, wherever you are at in your baking business. There's training, and I've got lots of experts in. So when I networked in business, first of all, it was in the wedding industry that I networked, but then I went broader, and now I network in business groups. And some, people I've met and colleagues in there come into my group and they do training on different. So I've got training on Instagram, I've got training on GDPR, legal training, all those kind of things that would be useful for a home baking business. So, that's what's known as semi-passive, because there, I have to curate the training, I have to sort that out, and every so often I go in and, do things. But it's not a full-time, all day, every day thing. And that can bring in, at the moment it's about 600 a month, something like that. Some people go, some people come. But at the moment it's about 600 a month. I know some of my business colleagues have memberships that literally bring in, 100,000 a year. I'm not joking. They have, so many members in their group. That they have an enormous income just on a membership that they have, which is astonishing. And of course, before lockdown, before I learned about all these things, I had no idea that all this, possibility existed. So yeah, it was all very mind-blowing, and I have learned so much over the last couple of years. I've learned so much about business, a lot of which I try and pass on to you in the home baking business community and in the membership. But of course, I've also learned a lot about baking and wedding cakes and all those kind of things as well, because you never stop learning, do you? You never stop learning. And then last year I set up my subscription box, which was something that I'd fancied doing for quite a while, because some of my business colleagues ran subscription boxes. So I have my sugar bloom box, which is for a monthly box for making sugar flowers. And that is growing now. So that brings in at the moment about 300 a month, but I'm working on really growing that so that it's a lot more. So you can see all these different streams of income I have. And then, of course, there's the wedding cakes again now, which is, thank goodness. But I can be a little bit more choosy now with, the wedding cake bookings I take in. I generally don't have more than one a week because I've got all my other income streams. I don't have to, be baking till 3, 4 in the morning, weeping quietly into my oven gloves. you know, I can block out my time and say, right, those 3 days are for that wedding cake. All my other business stuff I can organise in the rest of the week, and then I can really concentrate on making that wedding cake. A stress-free Annie makes a beautiful wedding cake. So I can do that, and because my business is my responsibility and mine, I can then, put in my diary what I'm doing when, what I'm selling, what I'm writing, because I'm writing more things. When I'm doing a wedding cake, all those kind of things. And it's really, really, been eye-opening these last 2 years, how it's changed my business model, because that's what it is. Having lots of different income streams is a business model, so it's really a question of finding what you're good at. Now, for most of you, it's going to be baking. It's going to be something bacon related. You might have a special niche in baking. You might have something particularly that you do that you're really good at. It might be something really that you hadn't thought of, like you might do postal deliveries. So you're going to be an expert on that. You're going to be an expert on where to get the packaging from. You're going to be an expert on the postage. You're going to be an expert on baking things to fit a certain space, all those kind of things that you don't think of. Somebody is going to want to know your knowledge. He's going to benefit from your knowledge. It might be something completely different. As I said, there were other people when I did the challenge, and I went on to do Lisa's course. But when I did the challenge, there were all sorts of people in there, and some of which started the challenge because it was a free Facebook challenge that Lisa put on. They sort of came into the challenge really not being sure. Some of them, a lot of them weren't even business owners. They were people with a job who just sort of thought, this sounds a bit interesting. Let's come and see what this is about, kind of thing. And by the end of the challenge, they were really fired up with, well, I really want to set up a business in this thing that I'm passionate about. I knew people, people that did triathlons that wanted to set up support groups for triathletes, or there were people that were really into yoga, or some people really weird things like hula hooping, really diverse things that they knew about or were passionate about, that they felt that they could then eventually create an income stream from. So it's been completely mind-boggling how it's all worked, and sort of part of the reason that I'm talking about this evening is, because people in the group have asked about it, about, when can you leave your job to do baking full time? But partly because Lisa, who was that speaker that I told you about, that first told me about income streams and all that light bulb stuff, she's doing her challenge again in a couple of weeks, and the 21st of March, I think it starts. And it's going to be exactly the same challenge that I did a couple of years ago. So I'm going to go in and do the challenge again, because I've done it about 3 times now. Every time she's done it, I've gone in and done it, because it gives me new ideas. I think last time I got the idea for the subscription box, the last time she ran it. So that's why I've set that up. But she goes through things like, finding your idea and, the basics of how to start setting up these different income streams. And she talked really well about it, and she would answer questions through it and all sorts of things. And there were so many people that were really helped by this. Particularly during lockdown, when things were going, awry for people. But even now, I think coming out of lockdown, perhaps a lot of people who perhaps were furloughed from a job and then have gone back to it and thought, actually, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. I want to do something else, you know. Listening to Lisa, you start to realize that actually there are possibilities beyond, you know, a 9 to 5 and being employed by somebody. So the challenge is called the race to recurring revenue. So recurring revenue is, you know, money that you know you will always have coming in. And yeah, it starts on the 21st of March. And I've got a special link because I'm partnering with her on it. I'm one of the people that sort of bigs her up and tries to spread the word. I'm a disciple, if you like. I've got a special link that you can join through. And it's sort of, I then get a list of people that have joined through me, and I can sort of look after you and, you know, nurture you and things like that and help you through it. If you look on the link that I've put into the group, which is going about now because it's about 8 o'clock now, you'll see the link to the challenge. And if you click on that link, you'll get all the information about it. There's lots about Lisa and lots about people that have done the challenge, and all the information is on there. And then you're asked just to sign up, and you will then be sent all the details, because it's a live Facebook. The challenge is free. The challenge is free. It doesn't cost a thing. It doesn't cost a bean, which is brilliant. So you'll then be sent all the details of the challenge. It's a live Facebook. So she goes, there'll be a Facebook group set up for it. And then she'll go live into that group to tell you, I think it's 4 days. So she does 4 lives, 1 each day. And then at the end of each live, she gives you a task, a little task to do. And it involves, you know, writing a couple of sentences or something. And you post them in the group. And then at the end of those 4 days, or the end of that week, everyone that's posted all 4 challenges, all 4 tasks, will then be entered into her draw to win prizes. And honestly, she gives the most amazing prizes. She's very generous with her prizes. But the actual challenge doesn't cost a bean. Okay. And in fact, I'm going to sort of mirror her, but not in as much financial. I'm everyone that signs up via my link, I'm going to put into a draw of my own and pick someone to win a voucher for Amazon for £20. So if you sign up to that challenge by the link that's on that post that I've just put in the group, you might have a chance to win a voucher from me as well as some of the prizes. I mean, last year, I kid you not, and she does all this for free because she just loves helping people, honestly. Some of the prizes, one of the prizes was a Mulberry purse, I think it was, or wallet. And this year she's been talking about Gucci things. I mean, honestly, it's madness. Because she just wants so many people to be in it and to, you know, to benefit from what she knows, because she loves to spread the word. All the links are also in the blog. So if you go to the blog, all the links are in there as well. And there'll also be, those of you that are on my email list, there will be a few more emails in the next couple of weeks about that as well. Just to explain how it works and, you know, the benefits of it and what I've learned from it and what I've got from it. Because honestly, without that challenge and without Lisa and without what she's taught me, I would still be sort of supply teaching and scraping a living, doing as many wedding cakes as I could and getting stressed and not having a holiday and all that kind of malarkey. So I'm really evangelical about it, because it was just such an amazing experience for me, and it has allowed me so much freedom, which is what we all want, really, don't we? We all want to come away from jobs that we really don't want to do, and we want to spend our whole days being immersed in things that we're passionate about, which for me is, baking and wedding cakes and other people that bake and the sugar flowers and all those kind of things. And I just have I get up in the morning and I just love what I do. Absolutely love what I do. In fact, it's funny because some people say, "Oh, you're so lucky." And I say, "No, luck's got nothing to do with it." It was, it was hard work, and it was the choices that I made that resulted in me being able to do what I do now. Because some of you, if you know me, you know that I don't really believe in luck. I don't wish people good luck at all. I think it's all dependent on the effort you put into something and the attitude that you have towards something. But anyway, oh, excuse me, I've talked too much and I'm coughing now. So do have a look at that. I mean, I've got the link here. It's Annie Bennett Business Race to Recurring Revenue. That's what the letters stand for. So there's that link there if you want to use that one. But it is in the home baking business community. The link is now in there for you to click on to have a look. And if you've got any questions about any of that, if you're not sure about it or want to find out more about Lisa or about what she does, just ask me, just message me or email me or whatever. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions or give you some more information or whatever. Okay, so we will leave it there because I'm now coughing quite a lot. I've talked too much. I'm too enthusiastic about this. So yeah, do have a look, do find out more, and do let me know if you want to know any more about it, because I could talk for weeks. I could, talk the socks off you about it all, because I'm just so grateful that it's all changed my life, and here I am now loving what I do. So there we go. So there we are. I hope that's been useful to you. I hope, the fact that you can see that someone's come from, a full-time job that perhaps, in the end, I didn't want to do, I didn't like. And I've managed to turn things around. So now I don't have to do that job anymore, and I can do something that I love all the time. So if that message has gone that it is possible to do that, then brilliant. So do let me know if there's any questions. If you want to know more, just ask. Have a look at the link in the group. It'll tell you a lot more about what it's all about. Other than that, I will talk to you next week, next Wednesday. I'm gonna do a bit more mindset stuff next week. Oh, I've only been open a couple of weeks. Would this be a good idea? Do you know what? I think because there are people that have done that challenge that hadn't got a business at all. People that had just set up businesses and people that had been established in business for years. I think it's a brilliant thing to do, even if you're just starting up, because the challenge itself isn't very onerous at all. It just helps you think about what you're doing, gives you some ideas, which is always good, in business. So have a look at the link, have a look at the information. You can go into the chat because it's completely free. You can take it or leave it, really. If you go into the first session and think, oh, perhaps not, this isn't for me, you can leave it. But you might find you go to the first one and you think, oh, actually, there might be something in this. I might be able to do something with this, and build, say, more income streams, as well as the one, the baking one that you have. So I would say just find out, have a look, have a read, and then see what you think. And if you do want to ask me any more questions, then please do. I'm more than happy to answer questions about anything. All right. So have a look. I will be here. I'll be around. I'll be in the groups. Tag me in if you want to ask me or message me or whatever. And I'll see you again next week, where I'm going to do a bit more mindset. I'm going to talk about, your worth. You're very welcome. I'm going to do a bit of sort of confidence building next week, because I like doing that. And I think we all need that sometimes, don't we? So that's going to be next week's session. All right. So have a good week. Have a good bake, whatever you're baking. Hope it goes well. And I will see you next Wednesday evening here live. All right then, my lovelies, have a good week and I'll see you soon. Bye.